Hello students, just going to do a quick little tutorial and show you a couple little tips that may not have shown up well in class. Okay, so first thing I'm going to show you is the spacing template. It's a better name for it. So you see here I have this basically lined out. In your basic instructions you see your height spacing using your nib widths. So your nib widths, 4 nib widths height is the height of your lowercase letters. Another 4 nibs height, and that will be the height of your uppercase letters, your capital letters. So what I have done here is I've marked out the pen that I'm using, 1.5 millimeter, and I've made my spacing. So here's my first spacing, 4 nibs, and I've used 2 nibs as a spacing between lines, and then another 4 nibs and another 4 nibs. Now I've made up this little template like this that does down 2 lines, and then the little space bar here. So as I start, how I will start at the start line. Make a dot there, dot there, dot there, dot, dot, dot. Now that gives me 2 lines with a space in between. Now when I go to repeat this to make more lines, move that up a little bit. Now you start your marking above here where it says repeat. That gives you a space. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. That's your 3 lines. Space. 3 lines. Oops, you can see it. Space. 1, 2, 3, space, 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you get the general idea. Now you can just find yourself a straight edge of some kind and draw your lines across there. Now you can use anything you want. You can eyeball it. You can use a T-square to get your edge straight. I, however, cheat. I have one of these, which, let's get that up out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. These are nice little parallel ruler. So I just line that up. Make sure that's parallel. As I move it down, it will stay parallel. So what I can do then is just line those first lines I marked. It's very important not to move the ruler while you're drawing the line. Let's just start over here. Okay. All right, that's our space. I need to erase that top line there. I don't know what I did there. That's why we do it in pencil. There we go. That's better. Let me get my parallel back. Can move back. Line. Line. Okay. Line. Line. Space. Okay, so you see how that works a little bit better because my marks on the other side weren't lined up. It's always a way to mess up. So this is the best thing to do. You don't have to do it, you just have to go a lot slower and a lot more careful than what I did. Okay, so here is, this is a sheet that I set up earlier. And I'm going to go through just a few, well, literally, we're going to go through the ABCs, kind of show you the basic strokes and forms. There we go. Okay, so the most important thing is to keep your pen nib at about 30 to 45 degree angle to the paper, to your line here. So and that will give you a thin line going in that direction, and you pull it this direction, a thin line. When you pull it down, it'll give you something in between, but thicker than thin. And again, thick. So those two are your basic forms. That right there will take care of about 90% more of your small letters. As you can see up here in our guide, the capital letters have a little bit more flowing to them. So let's just jump right in. We'll start with A right here. So just 45 degree angle. Pretty simple. Sometimes on your A you need to kind of rearrange that angle so you make sure you get a nice thin line for that coming down. And then your little kind of swooshes there to finish it out. Now I'll just do a lowercase minuscule real quick. And you can see how the smaller letters are a lot more basic. Square forms. Your capitals are going to have a little bit more free-flowing form. So let's do a B. Okay, there's another little pen technique you'll need to take care of. So you see how I, like that, matches that 45. Now this, I'm going to leave a little bit of space there, pull down, like that. Okay. Now C, here's a different, oh, let's just do the lowercase b real quick. So, like I said, very basic, straight down, kind of diamond shapes. All right. Let's do C. It's a little bit different because you have this kind of curve shape. Then at the top, you get kind of thick, pull up, make a little sharp point. And you have this little kind of free-floating shape here. When you have these, a lot of times you'll attach these with a little pike. So, and then of course the C is just kind of a squared off diamond shape. All right. Let's do O's, Q's, and G's. Yeah, that's a little bit out of order. Let's do those because those have very similar kind of double-sided here. So let's just do O so we can get that first horn. So the first half of it is the same as the C. Come up to here. Well, you want to close that in, so you come back over to here and pull that around in an O shape. And again, it has these little extra elements on the inside, and you kind of connect that with a pipe. Now the Q, of course, is just an O with that. I'm going to go back to the G because it uses that very similar form like that. But you go around like this, first half the C, and then you come up to here. The G, you come about halfway down, and you go G hook, pull that down, and you have this little floating element that kind of connects with that. And again, your little pike to hold that all together. The G, of course, is just the lowercase. And pull a little tail around like that. I like to do a little swoopy tail. Oh, and let's go back to the Q here real quick. Need to make sure to distinguish it from the P, because make sure that little tail goes, well, that was a little extreme, wasn't it? Well, you get the idea. Okay. Let's move over to let's do an S. Got a little bit of different forms. S is our challenge. It's a very free form. You need to catch that parallel, so you need that little space in between there. So trying to keep that little, these two lines coming down parallel like that. That is a challenge. Let's move. I find the U and the V very challenging in this particular style. Let's move down to this line here, so we've got a nice clear line. Let's do a U first. So you have that little tail to start it out with, and they have it, you pull it down like that, and then you have a little square top at the top, square knot at the top, pull the backside down, and a little tail out like you would a lowercase u. You connect it all together with that, and then you have your little side element here. The reason I find it challenging is because it's very, very close to the V. So the V, start out with all those same beginning elements. Sidebar. Now they have a little tail that comes out like that, and it pulls in like that. I like to just remove that element there, and I just pull my V all the way. That way there's no misunderstanding between that and that. But that's just me. You practice however you want. Like I said, I just found that a little bit of a challenge. Let's do an X. Again, a little bit different of moves. Nice little swooshing move. And now, there's another thing like the A. Sometimes you have to kind of rearrange your angle a little bit to make sure this is a nice thin line. And then you just kind of attach little flags to the top and bottom. I really like the way they've done their Z. It's a really nice. Just pull it down like that. Keep those lines there. I didn't do a very good job there. And then the elements. Let's try that one again. I think I can do better. Thin line. Thin line. I obviously need to practice, don't I? Well, that's what this is all about, I guess. So, let's see. I think that has all the basic moves. That should get you started. A little bit closer up view. Hopefully, you can see things a little bit better. Go ahead and look this over, this video. Make yourself up your own little template. And I will see you all in class.